When looking at world history, there are certain periods marked by massive disruptions that have always puzzled me. As if someone suddenly pressed a reset button. Species disappearing overnight, climate systems collapsing, entire communities vanishing. And at the center of all of it, one theme keeps repeating: a giant ball of fire falling from the sky. These stories have been told for thousands of years, and yes, they could simply be myths. But what if they aren't? What if a cosmic impact really did shatter the Earth? Today, we're diving into that question. Did a meteor destroy the world? Let's begin. The more I read ancient civilizations' texts, the more one thing surprises me. Almost every culture on Earth, despite being separated by thousands of kilometers, seems to be describing the same event. For example, Sumerian tablets speak of fire descending from the sky. Maya writings mention something like a piece torn from the sun. Even ancient Chinese sources depict the splitting of the heavens. What they all share is a massive light from above, an unimaginable heat, and the destruction that follows. Normally, you might say these similarities are just the natural result of shared folklore, but when archaeological evidence aligns with these stories, you can't help but question it. While researching this topic, I compared texts from Anatolia, Central America, and Mesopotamia. These cultures had no known contact with one another, yet the vocabulary they use is shockingly similar. Fire from the sky, a sudden flash of light, a spear that burns the land. And these aren't just stories. Some of these depictions are carved into temple walls. What makes this even more interesting is the discovery of massive burn layers in several regions dated to the same era. For example, in North America, there is a burn layer stretching hundreds of kilometers, far too large to be explained by human activity alone. This is why many researchers argue that the catastrophic stories found in ancient texts aren't purely symbolic. They may be memories of a real event. Of course, it's possible that ancient people misinterpreted what they saw in the sky. But the fact that so many different cultures tell nearly identical stories doesn't feel like a coincidence. Which leads us to the core question of this section: could these myths be echoes of a cosmic event that genuinely happened? The Younger Dryas is one of the strangest climate events in human history. Around 12,800 years ago, the world suddenly plunged into a deep freeze. And when I say suddenly, I'm not exaggerating. Scientists can see this clearly in ice cores. A climate shift that should have taken thousands of years appears to have happened within a single generation. This naturally raises a question: what could trigger such an abrupt global collapse? Ice cores contain iridium, nanodiamonds, and metallic microspherules, materials typically produced in cosmic impacts. Their presence strengthens the likelihood of an asteroid or comet fragmentation. And during the Younger Dryas, countless megafauna species, mammoths, giant lizards, large bison, vanished. There were also widespread, uncontrollable wildfires. A significant part of the scientific community now leans toward a cosmic impact explanation, while others remain cautious. But one thing is undeniable: nearly all evidence points in the same direction. What makes things even more intriguing is the fact that Göbekli was built right after the Younger Dryas. Some researchers interpret Göbekli not merely as a temple, but as a monument depicting a cosmic event. According to an interesting theory, the animal carvings on its pillars function as a celestial map, showing the fragmentation of a comet. When you put all this together, a striking picture begins to form: sudden climate collapse, massive fires, species extinction, ancient accounts of fire from the sky. Individually, these elements look unrelated, but together they start to feel like chapters of the same story. The idea of lost civilizations has been debated by both academics and enthusiasts for decades. Some argue that advanced civilizations couldn't have existed 12,000 years ago, while certain findings suggest the opposite. It really depends on what we mean by advanced. We're not talking about skyscrapers, of course, but massive stone structures, sophisticated astronomical knowledge, and complex social systems certainly don't seem impossible. If the Younger Dryas disaster truly happened, then large portions of the human population at the time may have been wiped out. And after such devastation, survivors might have scattered into smaller groups and regressed culturally. In a sense, civilization may have been reset. This is why historians are increasingly asking, was there a civilization before the Ice Age that simply vanished? While researching this topic, I read extensively about the Hapgood maps and the Piri-Reis map. Some interpretations suggest that parts of these maps depict Antarctica's coastline without ice, which implies the existence of a highly capable, possibly forgotten society. These theories are controversial, but not weak enough to dismiss entirely. Another argument supporting the idea of lost civilizations is the presence of massive stone structures across the world. Göbekli Tepe, the Baalbek stones, the laser-cut-like surfaces of Pumapunku, the millimetric precision in Egyptian temples. Yes, hunter-gatherers might have built them, but this still leaves us with big questions. If a civilization really existed but was wiped out by a cosmic impact, its story would have been buried along with it. Meaning what we see today might only be the scattered remnants of those who survived. There are certain periods in history where multiple regions collapse almost simultaneously. Take the Bronze Age collapse, for instance. Greece, Egypt, Anatolia, and Mesopotamia, states in all these areas fell apart within just a few decades. Archaeology reveals something striking about this era. Hundreds of settlements were suddenly abandoned, trade networks fell apart, and populations plummeted. Official history often explains this with invasions, but recent studies reveal major climate disruptions during this period: droughts, famine, wildfires. A familiar pattern. And interestingly, just before this collapse, ancient records describe strange observations in the sky. A suddenly appearing bright star, the heavens turning red for days. It's fascinating how often celestial events appear in the historical record at moments of societal collapse. When the Maya fell, there were descriptions of fire from the sky. During the decline of Chinese dynasties, strange sky explosions were recorded. Even in Europe's transition into the Dark Ages, documents mention weeks of unusual darkness. This synchronicity has led many researchers to ask, are these collapses truly independent? If a comet fragmented or a large meteor passed near Earth, it could have triggered various kinds of regional devastation. Some areas might have dried out, others burned, others starved. A chain reaction across the globe. This is why some theories suggest the major turning points in human history might actually be the long-term effects of cosmic impacts. Today, organizations like NASA and ESA constantly track near-Earth objects, because we now fully understand how dangerous a large meteor can be. Remember the relatively small Chelyabinsk meteor? It shattered windows across an entire city. If something that small can cause so much damage, it's terrifying to imagine what a 1-kilometer asteroid could do. Scientists say the evidence for such an event 12,000 years ago is strong but not definitive. Research on the Younger Dryas is still ongoing, and every year new findings emerge. The presence of nanodiamonds, tiny diamond fragments formed under immense energy, was a particularly explosive topic in the scientific world. These particles are typically produced only in high-energy impacts. Modern science remains cautious, but it doesn't dismiss the possibility. In fact, some researchers argue that human civilization is much more fragile than we think. According to some studies, even today, a major cosmic impact could bring down modern society in a matter of weeks. This raises a crucial question: if such an event occurred thousands of years ago, would humanity at that time have been able to preserve its knowledge and structures? Probably not. Which is why the idea of lost civilizations isn't fully rejected in modern science. Giving a definitive answer to this question isn't easy, but when you put the pieces together, an intriguing image emerges. On one side, we have ancient texts describing the same catastrophe. On the other, the Younger Dryas evidence. Then the possibility of lost civilizations. Each element may seem weak on its own, but combined, they almost force you to wonder. What if? Perhaps what we call civilization has been built and destroyed multiple times. Perhaps the human story we know today is actually the second, third, or fourth attempt. If a massive meteor truly entered Earth's atmosphere and ignited continent-spanning fires, it wouldn't just reshape the planet, it would reshape human memory. Traumas passed down through generations could have turned into myths, then religions, then legends. What stays with me most from this section is this: we may think we are advanced today, but a giant rock in the sky could still change everything in an instant. Which is why dismissing ancient warnings as just myths sometimes feels premature. So no, we can't say a meteor completely destroyed the world. But it may very well have caused a massive reset, one that echoed through human history all the way to today. Thank you so much for watching this video. If these theories, ancient texts, and scientific findings intrigued you, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Your support is incredibly motivating when working on long, research-heavy content like this. And make sure to share your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree with the meteor theory, or do you have a different explanation? What topic should we explore in the next video? Your ideas truly matter, because you've helped shape the direction of this channel. See you in the next exploration.